ultimate follow-up machine. One of the best things that you can do inside of your sales and marketing process is know when to deploy what based on where your leads are at in your sales process. Sometimes you get sales conversations that happen far too early on, and your salespeople will bitch as a result about that. They'll feel like leads are unqualified, when in reality they aren't. They're just too early in the sales process and they have to be moved further along. When you have salespeople that have those types of conversations, instead of just throwing the lead away and saying, oh, this person's unqualified, I'm not talking to him anymore. No. You have to learn how to have like a launch control system where your salespeople are well trained on the CRM and can flick different toggles, press different buttons, and have different marketing assets deploy to those leads in that given moment that are most appropriate for them based on where they're at in your sales process. My name's Jeremy Haynes. I have helped 40 different companies right now hit $1 million months, okay? All I do on my YouTube channel is hand down the lessons from those companies to you. I'm just taking $1 million month lessons, packaging them into bite-sized, put you on game videos here on the channel and trying to get you a little bit rich, okay? Welcome in if you're new. If you are already a subscriber, welcome back. I got another banger for you here today. So the first thing that you really have to understand is your sales cycle, okay? And you have to be able to successfully map your process from A to Z, okay? A being awareness and where a lead originates in most instances, all the way to the point of the close. And if you want, well beyond the close. You can even take it as far as upsell territory if you want to. In between, there's a few key things that happen, okay? There's a certain point where a lead becomes curious enough to officially take an action with the business. They're not sold yet, but they're gonna be responsive to your direct response ads. They're gonna enter into your sales process or essentially go through your advertising and marketing process. At a certain point, they take an action, okay? Book a call, opt in for a webinar, opt into a challenge funnel, DM the business and start going through a DM ad strategy, filling out an instant form, AKA the Hydra, okay? And just again, entering into the sales process. From here, there's a pretty significant amount of education and framing that occurs. And that education typically happens from three main things, okay? Short form, long form, and your salespeople, okay? Salespeople always, 100% of the time, get erratic and pissed when they talk to leads way too early in the process. Way too early in the process is somewhere in this phase specifically, right after the person takes action, but before they've consumed any of the content. That generally pisses salespeople off and makes them say, hey, all these people are unqualified, which we know as sophisticated advertisers and marketers, they're not unqualified. They're just early along in the process, okay? Now we have plenty of strategies that we deploy around here in order to warm people up and get them to the point where they're better framed before they talk to a salesperson. However, the point of this specific video is not to sit here and tell you about things like the hammer them strategy, the trust flywheel, indoctrination assets, trust assets, or really anything that has to do with all of your sophisticated email marketing strategies and your follow-up systems and your content remarketing systems after the person's take the action. No. On this specific video, what I want to talk about is what a lot of our high-level clients do after they've already got those things built out. What they end up doing, when I say at the beginning of this video, they build like these dashboards, okay? Where they train their salespeople on how to actually use the CRM. In most instances, what ends up happening is the salesperson will have these reasons that they can mark in the CRM in like a drop-down field. Almost every CRM has custom fields. And this is where the magic starts with this whole process, okay? Because all you're doing after one of these custom fields gets tripped is just if this, then that logic, okay? So as an example, if a lead gets on a call with our sales organization, okay? Somebody in the team says, this lead is too early. And that is one of the reasons in this drop-down box that you put is too early. Well, if that occurs, then we want to have an entire marketing automation sequence that fires off to that fucker, that deals with them being too early in the sales process, okay? What would too early in the sales process look like? It might be that the lead showed up and asked questions that, again, were just super surface level and you could tell they're at the very top of the sales process. Questions like, hey, what is this? How does this all work? Why would I want to do it? You know, like questions like that again, just like piss your sales team off. From that perspective, okay, if that's the case for you currently and you get a lot of that, how much better would it be if you had an entire marketing automation process? Okay, now let me just be clear on the definition of what I'm talking about when I say marketing automation, okay? Because this can get quite sophisticated for what you're capable of doing. So marketing automation can be, first of all, an email sequence, which is the obvious option. We have text, but in addition to that, we have specific content remarketing sequences that can go out to people too. So it doesn't just have to be our emails and our texts, okay? Here's the key. Here's what all of this really boils down to is context, okay? Context equals big dollars, okay? Big time money comes from context. When you treat everybody the same that's going through your sales process, you're gonna have a bad time. Simply put, you're just not gonna maximize every lead that comes through the funnel. I wanna be very direct when I say this. This is so important to understand for why generally this is only deployed by the big dogs. Is because if the big dogs can make a difference of like 5% of people showing up, or they can make a difference of like 5% extra people closing, or if they can make a difference of like an extra $2,000 in their AOVs, okay, their average order values. I mean, guys, it is extreme the amount of money that these companies either leave on the table and lose, or that they put in their pockets and make as a result of just these small improvements in these statistics across these funnels, okay? So these dissertation reasons, that's the proper term for when I say you need to have a custom field in the CRM that just has dissertation reasons. That's like too early, okay? And I'm gonna give you a few examples here. I'm not gonna give you all the examples that we put our inner circle members onto, but I will give you a lot of examples regardless, okay? Some dissertation reasons, again, too early, okay? Now watch this. This is one of my favorites. Needs X, okay? So what can X be? Let's use the example that somebody gets onto a call about your offer, okay? And your offer has like 3 main components that make people buy after they understand these 3 specific things, okay? So let's say that the person comes through framed quite well on thing number 1 and on thing number 3. But on thing number 2 in this hypothetical example, AKA Y, they just struggled to grasp it. So they need more framing around that, because when those 3 things that your company specifically knows with certainty, if people know this before they talk with us, their probability of buying is dramatically higher. Let's just use this hypothetical example. There's 3 key things that somebody just, again, if they know those things or are sold on those things, they're fucking buying at a very high rate. Again, we want to make sure we have sequences, okay? Dissertation reasons and marketing automation paired with those sequences that contextually address those specific problems, those needs for framing, okay? We have a much higher probability to get people to buy during the follow-up stages, okay? And here's the important thing to understand. Dissertation reasons can range from things like what we just talked about, like too early or needing specific framing things, and it can also range over to objections. So rather than just being specific to, some of the more like, we'll call them front-end reasons that people are probable to, go through some content like need something. The objections are also things that we can create sequences for. Now, the follow-up to this, okay? How are you gonna go about getting this information? So I call this part the consumables, okay? So we have to have a list of different consumables. We have to have videos, and this is important to note, right? We got short videos, we got long videos. There was a recent Inner Circle member that we gave $1 million a month trophy to, Mr. Daniel Fazio, okay? And Daniel is a very smart guy, okay? We love Daniel in the group. I love Daniel. After hearing Daniel, I was like, dude, I think this guy could be my best friend. He has the same lingo as me. I love Daniel. But to be clear, Daniel in his VSL, he was given a specific tip talking about his VSL. And he was like, just like you guys are sitting here on YouTube, you have the ability to scrub through the video and you have the ability to see what I'm talking about and when. And maybe I'm talking about something that you just don't give a fuck about. It's like all you're gonna do is go scrub the video with that little control slider there. And you're gonna go find something that's more applicable to you that you specifically wanna know. That's tremendous. That's great. Why not do that same thing in your VSL was the point that Daniel made, okay? It's the same thing in your long form content. Why not take a long form piece of content and break it out into shorter clips, okay? And give people the opportunity to consume it in 3 different ways. You have the videos, you have the writing, okay? And then on top of that, you have variations of consuming both of these. One of my favorites, and I can't believe I'm giving this tip out for free, to be honest with you. We've been having a fucking field day with this tool in the Inner Circle right now. We've been loving this as a new consumable, okay? It's called Gamma. And Gamma can take the same information that we just talked about, like videos, texts, and it turns it into this thing they call a Gamma doc, okay? And we've just been having a field day with this. We've been loving it. It's so cool to use and test and just try out and see if you get some better results at getting people to just go through the information that you want them to consume. So here's my point with this whole consumables part of the equation, okay? This is what you need in order to get this part of the equation to work. Okay, so when one of the salespeople triggers a dissertation that says like, oh, this person's too early, or oh, this person needs X, Y, Z, or oh, they had this specific objection. Well, from there, you have to have a good set of consumables for the person to then get smashed with in order to increase the probability to buy. Emails, texts, videos, long videos, short videos, gamma docs, salespeople to have the conversation with that are willing to educate them and spend the time with them. Things like this. These are all examples of consumables. And again, I'm going to add that to the list as well. Salesperson conversation. Okay, these things matter is my point. The consumables make or break whether this shit works for you and whether you're actually going to be able to create the contextual resources that the people going through your process crave. Because if not, what are you really left with? Really think about this. What are you left with if you don't have contextual consumables created that are contextual to specific dissertations that your salespeople has said, hey, this person needs this specific shit addressed? What are they left with otherwise? Some random bullshit sequence that you might not even have, by the way. That's the craziest part. Like, we find people all the time that are at a good couple $100,000 a month trying to get to $1 million months that don't even have a fucking post-call sequence for email, let alone for the content that they should get pivoted to seeing next, the text, what the salespeople should be talking about next. There's just fuck all there that exists. So from that perspective, really think about what I'm trying to tell you here, okay? You're in a position where after one of the most important things that can happen in your business occurs, a sales conversation or a webinar or something where the person could have converted and didn't, you don't have proper follow-up built out that's contextual to why they didn't close. And yet you wonder why you're at the amount of revenue you're at and not making more money. It's like, is it that fucking shocking? You know, it's not to me. And here's the other thing for why that's probably happening. Because you have zero accountability and eyeballs on your business besides you. And if you haven't been able to conclude to this yet, as you're this far into the video, you not having this means you need somebody's help like mine. My eyeballs on your business are extremely valuable, okay? I would never let you operate without these kind of things. Every single high-level client we have uses them, leverages them, and gets pretty significant improvements across all these different stats, all as a result of doing these things. Why aren't you? Join into my Inner Circle offer. Twice a month one-on-one calls, weekly group calls. We have masterminds 4 times a year. We have a group chat full of rich people trying to get richer that's very active, where they all share things that are very private because we trust each other. We don't let fucking losers or value vultures into the group. You're not going to join in there and feel like a big dog. Quite contrary to that. Almost everybody who joins in, even if they're at high couple $100,000 a month, feels like a fucking small fry. Because it's not necessarily even just about the amount of revenue you're at. It's about what you know. And if you looked at this specific video and you say, yeah, I don't have any of this shit and it's obvious that I should, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You'll go in there and you'll start to create this and you'll share these things in the group chat. You'll get my perspective and you'll get plenty of other people's perspectives too. Everybody's there to try to get richer. Everybody's willing to help. It's a very give and take kind of relationship that you develop with all these other people in the group besides myself. I'd encourage you to apply to join in. There's a link in the description below. And at the very least, subscribe to the channel. Go check out some of my other videos. Every single video on this channel is dedicated to taking all these high-level lessons that $1 million a month earners that we've worked with directly have used and deployed and made money with, and just handing them down to you to try to help you get rich. We don't make any income claims or promise that you'll come even remotely fucking close to $1 million a month watching these videos. But at the very least, you know, you apply things like this, and I just would imagine you gotta be in an awful position where like you either don't have a business, you got a terrible offer, or like, you, again, like everything just has to be so off to not be able to get some type of result with shit like this. Okay, whether you join or not, go improve your process. Go get richer, okay? And go check out some of my other videos, because again, they're all very value dense and they help you in ways just like what we talked about here today. I'll see you soon.